Hi, I'm Doug Mandel, and welcome back to my photography show, Photography Under 10, where I interview photographers, professional photographers, about their works, specifically one work that we focus on for the whole show. And today I'm joined by my good friend, Sayuri Ichida, who is coming to us from New York City. Sayuri is Japanese and from Tokyo, but is working and living in New York. And welcome. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of this show.
Thank you so much, Doug, for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So why don't we just dive into it? Because the series that we're going to talk about today, or the photo that we're talking about from your series, is your series called Mayu. Is that right?
Yes.
That's how you pronounce this. And this is a dancer who you're photographing her moves outside in and around New York. And I particularly found it interesting that you really identified with this woman when you met her, in terms of both of you being Japanese and feeling like outsiders. Could you talk a little bit about that and how you got the idea to photograph her outside doing ballet movements?
Mhm. So I met her in 2017, and at first she came and asked me to take pictures of her for her portfolio, but I simply didn't want to shoot beautiful dancers' portrait pictures. So I was wondering what I could create with her. Um, and as I got to know her, I learned that Mayu and I had similar experiences, also feelings as immigrants. Like we feelings like self-doubt or regret. Also, we had to go through some difficulties like communication errors or visa issues. So through this work, I tried to express those shared experiences with her body line.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And the images are so stunningly beautiful. You know, I will say that I first met you when I was at Paris Photo. I think this was 2 or 3 years ago. And I was walking to dinner. I was late. And I remember seeing your work through the window of a gallery that was showcasing a number of Japanese artists. I think it was all photographers.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked into the gallery and I asked the owner who the photographer is. And she said, "Oh, she's right behind you." And that's how I met you, and ended up purchasing that photograph that was in the window. But it was so random to meet you that way and to learn about your work. So why don't we put up the image that we're going to talk about today?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about this image. I mean, what we're seeing here is Mayu is holding on to a sign.
Mm-hmm.
What were you thinking when you created this image?
So we had this photo shoot last year around March. At that time, she was 2 or 3 months pregnant. And when I came to this particular location, I thought this was perfect because this sign has two arrows. And then I asked her to put this red outfit.
Mhm.
Um, and and then I so this sign for me, it feels like uh, it um, means a change in a way. And then because she was about to become a mother, so there were a lot of changes were waiting for her. And then those changes are usually unpredictable.
Mhm.
So I think this sign here emphasized that hidden meaning in a way. And then this red outfit also, like, because she was going to bring a new life. to this world. And then red color is usually referred to the color of blood. So I think here, this image particularly brings the meaning of new life in a way to me.
Got it. Beautiful explanation. By the time you took the picture, this picture, how
Mhm.
much had you worked with her? I mean, I know you've done a number of images with her. And in fact, I do want to
Yeah.
just pause for a second and show our viewers that just recently I saw Mayu in one of your works on the cover of the Paris Review. And I was so excited to see this in my friendly neighborhood ESOP store. I picked up a copy, was very proud of you. But
Thank you.
um, but tell us how far into the series were you by the time you came up with this image?
So I think by that time we already had 4 or 5 photo shoots. I started shooting her in 2017 in summer.
Got it.
Yeah. So it was our 4th or 5th shoot.
And when you were shooting this one in
Yeah.
terms of holding this pose and so forth, which looks like just such a, the longer I look at it, the more mesmerized I am in terms of how she's just balancing on one toe and holding up her
Yeah.
body in a different direction, and her leg goes right, out the other direction, and she's pregnant. Uh,
Mhm.
was it a complicated shoot?
Actually, it went very smoothly. So I didn't ask her to do this pose particularly, but when she stood next to this sign, she naturally posed like this for me, and I found it perfect.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
And tell us what were you working on before you embarked on this series? Because this series really was the series that brought you a lot of media attention. By the way, I wanted to tell our viewers where they can follow you on Instagram. I think some photographers do a better job than others in terms of being on Instagram. You do a very,
Mm.
very good job. So how do they find your Instagram images?
Oh, recently I started posting new body work that I did in Bulgaria last year. But until then, I tried to post, like, I tried to make pictures. I didn't want to post pictures in order so
Mm-hmm.
that. So that I thought I can introduce my work um, in unique way, in a way, like
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to showing one work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and before this series we are showing here, I created a work called Deja Vu, which is house portrait series. This is kind of like a typology style of work. So what I did in this series was I tried to find identical houses in particular neighborhoods in America, because American, some particular type of American house is so intrigued. I'm so intrigued to those kind of houses because they are very different from Japanese houses. But at the same time, I felt some kind of nostalgic feeling,
Uh-huh.
strangely. So yeah.
Got it. What intrigues you about American houses that you're photographing compared to Japanese homes?
So as a foreigner, America is very like kind of model, like in terms of how they live, how American people live, and then what kind of places where they live. So the reason why I felt so nostalgic to those houses was I had a doll house when I was little, And those houses were so similar to my doll house. So
Interesting.
that, yeah, it brought my old memories.
Oh, interesting. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for spending time with us. I do want to say that people can find you on Instagram at The Final View, which is the
Yes.
name of your Instagram
Mhm.
posting, correct? Or handle. And I think it's really worth checking out because your images are really beautiful. And I know that right before or shortly before this shutdown, you were in Japan working on a very interesting project for Sony. And that image can also, those images can also be found on
Mhm.
your Instagram page. So,
Mhm.
or I guess I should be correct and say just on Instagram. Well,
Thank you.
anyway, thank you again for spending part of your Sunday with me. And I appreciate your time and look forward to seeing more of your work as it comes out.
Oh, thank you so much, Doug.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.